differently, to see this opportunity for Michigan agriculture. You know, we make things and grow things in Michigan and do it well, and that's what you need to do in an economy. And alternative fuels gives us a chance to do both. We have the best researchers in the world. We have an auto industry second to none that is building biofueled vehicles. And as I said before, we are the leaders, and we have the opportunity to say, buy your fuel from Middle America instead of the Middle East.
Our next question for Senator Stabenow. Dave?
Senator, what's your position on Great Lakes issues of water diversion and water quality, and what should the federal role be?
Dave, thank you for that question. I was very pleased, after only 6 months in the United States Senate, to author the first ban on oil and gas drilling in the Great Lakes. We've now made that permanent. You know, you can't live in Michigan and not love the Great Lakes and all of our outdoors, hunting and fishing, and my son, who's a competitive bass fisherman, and my family who hunt, and all of us love Michigan. That's why we're here, and that's why we're going to stay here. We have a serious set of issues on our hands. We've now dealt with oil and gas drilling. They can't do it. We've put together a way to handle diversion by leaving it up to the state governors, and that's important. And now we're tackling on a bipartisan basis a 10-year plan to invest in invasive species, to stop that carp from coming up the river, the Asian carp, by putting an electric fence there, and hopefully we can get the Republican administration and the Congress to actually fund it. We've been trying to do that. But the reality is we now have to focus on invasive species and water quality.
Sheriff?
Well, absolutely. Water diversion shouldn't happen. Michigan is the largest comparative area for fresh water in the world when you look at what's here. We need to protect that. I grew up here, I was born and raised here. I want that for our children in the future. But again, we need somebody that's going to get results on these issues, not be talking about it 10 years from now about invasive species. Again, we have a situation, the invasive carp. I appreciate her talking about that. But talk's not results. We don't need a whole lot of money to build that electric fence. 20 million or so. She voted for a bridge to nowhere in Alaska, $230 million for 50 people in Alaska, and couldn't get 20 million to keep the invasive species out of our Great Lakes. That's wrong. That's ridiculous. We need somebody that not only will talk about it. Again, I appreciate her talking about it, but we need somebody that's actually going to get something done to protect the Great Lakes. We have so many blessings that need a champion that will get results, whether it's invasive carp, whether it's the water quality, time and time again. We need a champion on those issues, and I've actually written legislation into law to protect the environment here in Michigan.
Sheriff Bouchard, you'll have 30 seconds to respond to our question from Peter Ross. Peter?
Sheriff, we can all agree education is pivotal. Whose fault is it if a young child fails to get a good education?
Well, I think one of the most important things, I chaired education in the state senate and worked with parents, teachers, students, administrators. I always get a significant amount of friendship and reward from that. I was legislator of the year from school boards and from administrators. We need to bring the community together to support and encourage our education with business leaders to make the change to get more math and science to be more effective on those particular issues. Not Washington, not bureaucrats. No Child Left Behind is, again, another well-intentioned plan that I won't support. Federal government should not be driving Michigan
Senator,
educational policy.
30 seconds. Senator?
Thank you. Education policy is economic policy, and we all need to be involved, all of us as parents, as community, and including the federal government in a global economy. This is a major area of difference in terms of my opposing the Bush policies and my opponent standing with President Bush. As I said before, right before Christmas, $12 billion were cut out of student loans that have rolled right over on the back of middle-class families. That's wrong. And now the President's proposed the largest cut in the history of education.
Thank you,
I'm
Senator.
standing up and fighting it.
And we now come to closing statements, also decided by a coin flip. We begin with Senator Stabenow. Senator?
Thank you so much for being here. You know, I was born in Michigan, raised my children here. I love this state. And what's happening to us is very personal. We're in a fight for our way of life. We're in a fight for our middle class. And there's a clear choice here between someone who supports the failed policies that are costing us jobs and threatening our way of life, and my effort to turn things around, to keep our middle class, to keep our jobs here. I'm proud of authoring a tax cut that is in law now that says if you create jobs in America, you get a lower tax rate. I'm proud to have been a major part of bringing in 61,000 new jobs through our new transportation bill, to have been on the front lines in creating jobs through alternative fuels and new ethanol plants. We need a strategy that works for us. We don't need somebody saying, if you'll only work for less, pay more in health care and lose your pension, we can be successful. We need to say we're going to compete up and make other countries race to catch up with us. That's the great American spirit. This race is about that. Somebody who stands with the president and failed policies, somebody who's fighting for change and a race to the top. I'm honored to be your senator, and I ask for your support so I can go back and continue to get results for you and your family and continue to lead the critical fight for our Michigan way of life.
Sheriff
you.
Bouchard.
Thank you. Well, thank you to Sen.Stabenow for her service. We appreciate your discussing and talking about the issues. I'd love to have more debates with you, first off. But thank you to all of you for tuning in here tonight. First and foremost, I'd like to thank my wife and our 3 wonderful children. Without their love and support, I wouldn't be standing here tonight. It obviously is a long campaign. I'd also like to thank WGVU for hosting this debate, making it available throughout this great state so people have the opportunity to listen. Tonight, the people of Michigan have had the opportunity to compare my record with Senator Stabenow's rhetoric, results versus talk. It's clear that we have great differences on issues that range from the need to keep our homeland safe, our borders secure, to renew Michigan's economy, the only state in the nation losing jobs, and to get opportunity back here. She's a nice person, but at the end of the day, that's not enough for Michigan. We need results, and she hasn't delivered. One bill, renaming a federal building. My record's one of results and bipartisanship. I created jobs as a small businessman, balanced budgets as a leader in the state senate, and protected families and communities as a sheriff for now almost 8 years. On the other hand, her record's one of obstruction and partisanship. She wants to allow Social Security benefits for illegal aliens, raise taxes, and supports policies that have hurt manufacturers and business. When you send me to Washington, I will get you results, because if I don't, not only will I have failed you, but my daughter will be about ready to graduate from college, and I want her to stay here. I can't do it alone. I ask for your vote and your support on November 7th. Thank you, and God bless.
Sheriff Bouchard and Senator Stabenow, thank you both for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you to our panel as well for some great questions over this hour. And thank you most of all to those of you at home who have cared about these issues and have tuned in tonight. And thank you for supporting your public radio and